Welcome to the podcast. My name is Jamie Knight, and I'm a realtor with Real Broker here in Cajun Country, Lafayette, Louisiana. The goal of this podcast is to provide massive value by bringing insider access to our area's top agents and find out how they've been able to achieve massive success in their business. My hope is that you take a few things away from their experiences to grow your own business. My guest today is a friend and fellow realtor, Jenna Guerrero. Jenna is a top producer in the Houma, Thibodaux area. Jenna is a community leader, life coach, and all-around boss babe. Her words. Welcome to the podcast, Jenna.
That's a fabulous introduction, Jamie.
Yeah, I love it.
Thank you so much for that. And thank you for having me on your podcast today. I'm so excited for this.
Yeah, I'm excited to have everybody hear your story because we got to have a little lunch and catch up, and I got to kind of hear your whole story. So I love your vibe and I love how you handle yourself and your business, and you're such an inspiration. So I'm happy to get your story down so that everyone in our community and across the nation can kind of hear your story. So let's start with what it takes to make Jenna successful in the real estate business. So let's talk about that.
Okay, yeah, that's a great place to start. So for me, I think that I have been super successful in business just because I am very much a people person. Whenever I meet someone, my first plan of action, I guess you could say, is figuring out what exactly their needs are and really being able to be of value to them.
Right.
Whether it be with buying a house or finding somewhere to get their hair done or even finding a really good restaurant. People call me all the time for that because they know that I'm a foodie, and I will always give a great recommendation for that. But also, too, like I said, I'm very much a people person, and I'm all about building relationships. And one of my business mottos, or what's the term that I'm even looking for right now, I guess just something that I believe in my business is if I wouldn't make a decision for my family, then I wouldn't tell my clients to make that decision for their family. So just always being honest and guiding them and leading them in a way that I would do for my own family or for myself.
All right. Yeah. So speaking of family, tell us a little bit about the family dynamic, the home life and everything else. And then we're going to find out how you got into the real estate business next.
Well, I am a mother of 5 children, and most of the time, whenever I say that, people look at me very oddly.
Right.
But we are a beautifully blended family. So my husband has 2 sons and a daughter, and I have 1 son and 1 daughter. But we have custody of all of our children, so we are all in the same household.
Awesome.
Like I said, beautifully blended.
Cool. Well, tell us a little bit about how you got into the real estate business, so we can get a little bit of the backstory of how you fell into it.
Fell into it. That's exactly right. So I always say that I accidentally got into real estate. I wasn't one of those people who was like, oh, real estate's my passion. It's something that I really want to do. I didn't even know what a realtor was when I got hired to be a realtor, funny enough. I was looking to get it back into the workforce. I had been home with my daughter for the first year and realized that the stay-at-home mom life just wasn't meant for me.
Right.
I went to a staffing company, put my resume in, and I interviewed with a real estate agent. And that real estate agent actually hired me on the spot.
Nice.
To be his assistant. I started the very next day, which was my birthday.
Nice.
So my anniversary in real estate is my birthday every year. So I celebrate my birthday and my anniversary in real estate. It's a great day for me.
There you go.
Because real estate changed my life. So I was his assistant for about 6 months, and a month into that, he was like, hey, you should really get your license. I think you would be a great agent. So I did. I took the course in 2 weeks.
Wow.
The real estate course. Took me 2 weeks to finish that course. Passed the test on the first time. I missed 2 questions.
Right.
Which is crazy because everyone's like, oh, it's so hard. You're not going to pass it. I passed it. Only missed 2 questions on it.
Nice. Now you're bragging.
Yeah, I'm not trying to brag.
Well, tell us a little bit about further in, right? Because you kind of quickly started, leveling up and getting better and better and better at your craft, and people started. So tell us a little bit about that transition a little later on. You just got your license, but now you're growing, and tell us a little bit about the expansion and how you got to where you are right now.
So I did grow rather quickly, and I started the business just like any other agent. Yes, I guess I kind of had the leg up because I had a senior agent training me, right? But I still had to earn my stripes. I had to earn the business. So I was calling for sale by owners. I was walking neighborhoods, knocking on doors, all of those things. But being a people person really helped me in the sense that I was able to connect with people and become memorable to them. So whenever they met me, whether they decided to list their house with me or they didn't, they actually referred other people to me because they liked the way that I presented myself. I've always shown up in a professional way, which I think is so important. Just think about it. I mean, whenever you go to a doctor's office or an attorney's office, they're always dressed professionally. They always present themselves in a certain way. So if you do that as a real estate agent, people will respect you and they'll want to work with you. And then just to add to that, I was the assistant to that agent for about 7 years. And after 7 years, I was just really, really becoming the higher producer, I guess you could say. So we ended up ending that relationship. And then once that relationship ended, I had so much business coming in that one person wasn't able to handle it themselves. And I ended up hiring my husband to be my assistant. So he left his job in the real estate, not in real estate. He left his job in the oil field to come and work for me and be my assistant.
Wow. Yeah. So how does that work, right? Like, how does that work to have your husband as your assistant?
So we have the best working relationship. We really do. We're so blessed because my husband, I feel like, and I say this all the time, God made him exactly for me because no one else would put up with my BS.
I gotcha.
But because he does believe in me so much and he knows what I am capable of, he listens and he learns. And we don't ever disrespect each other in any kind of way. If we have an issue that comes up, then we are very good about having open communication about it, being able to tell each other, hey, this went wrong and this is why it went wrong and this is how it's kind of making me feel right now. So we always have that open dialogue. We're able to communicate that, and that's what makes us such a strong team. And my clients absolutely love him too because she's just really great with them. And when it comes to paperwork, I am kind of messy and he is not. So He compliments me, you know.
That's awesome.
He really does. He compliments me in every way and just he really does make me a better person. He makes me a better agent, a better wife, and a better mother.
That's awesome. Now, I'm glad to hear that because you hear a lot of that about couples that work together, and I think the ones that work together the best are the ones that kind of complement each other's downfalls or whatnot. I'm like that too. With paperwork, I'm not a lover of just doing the paperwork side of it. Like, that's not my passion. My passion is being here with you, visiting, doing a podcast, being in front of people. I think we share that. Being in front of people is a big thing. So tell us a little bit about, we talked about community involvement, but tell us a little bit about what you do in the community. And you told me a little bit about a women's thing that you put on. Tell us a little bit about what that is and what that looks like.
I am the ambassador for Empower Her Life Homa. It is a women's group that we started to empower and build women up. It doesn't matter if you are a stay-at-home mom, if you work a 9-to-5, if you're an entrepreneur, you have a seat at our table. The whole goal, it's a self-development, self-help, self-worth type group. We do 3 live events a month. My favorite event is our Elevate and Connect. We do that once a month. We have a keynote speaker come in, pour into the women, give them real life tools that they can put into their lives to help level them up.
Nice.
And so the only rule we have is no mean girl energy.
Yeah.
If you are a mean girl, we will ask you in a kind way to go and heal. And then once you're healed, you are always welcome to come back and join our tribe.
Gotcha. I like that. I like the no mean girl energy. We might title the podcast that. Because that's awesome.
That's a great podcast, actually.
We're going to title it that, I think. Yeah, so no mean girl energy. But how do you use, some of the tools that we talked about being a life coach. Let's talk about some of the tools that you use as a life coach in your business every day. Let's talk about that.
Okay. Some of the tools that I use in my business every day, I am a firm believer that you need to have a morning routine. And that's something that I help all of my life coaching clients set up, because if you set your morning up for success, then you're going to have a successful day. I fully believe that. But also too, just being able to be emotionally intelligent. That's something else that I work with my clients on. we don't realize how much we put emotion into things and we let those emotions control us. And at the end of the day, it might make us act out in a way that we didn't mean to. And then that makes us look bad to other people.
Right.
So learning how to be emotionally intelligent is so important. It's something that I teach my 10-year-old whenever there's, bullies or something. I'm like, hey, they're not being mean to you because you did something to them. It's because of something that they're hurting on the inside. So we really need to just give them grace and maybe pray for them a little bit. And hopefully they'll have a change of heart and realize that it's not the world that has, the world's not hurting them. You're not hurting them. It's something that's within themselves that they need to heal.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I actually went through some training randomly at a church that I used to go to on bullying, and it was kind of an extensive training. I don't really know why I even got into the training, but it was interesting to kind of have the perspective to take a step back and say, hey, that person that's being mean to you or whatever, there's something bigger going on there with them, and that's something that we need to be sensitive about. And look, hey, it's not about, they're not just trying to be mean to you. They're trying to raise themselves up so that they can, put you down to raise themselves up, whatever it was. But
right.
I thought that was an interesting little insight that I was able to have. But kids don't realize that. They just say, man, my friend's being mean, or, this guy's being mean to me and he's picking on me or whatever. But
kids don't realize that. And something that I also tell my children is if you act out, if you get angry or you start crying, that's the result that they're looking for.
Yep.
So if you're able to step back, take a pause and take a breath and just walk away from it, they're not getting what they want. They have no control over you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's great advice. So talk a little bit more, get back into the morning routine, because I want to hear about what your morning looks like. Success routine. If an agent's like, man, I need to get a routine. What does Jenna's look like?
My morning routine, I start every single morning with a gratitude practice. Because having an attitude of gratitude is how you will attract more abundance into your life. I write down 3 things that I'm thankful for within the last 24 hours. It could be, hey, this is a really good cup of coffee this morning because maybe the last 24 hours wasn't so great.
Right.
But you have to be able to find a positive in every situation, even a negative situation. After my gratitude practice, I do have a manifestation practice. So I write down everything that I plan to accomplish this year every morning in a paragraph, as if it's already happened for me. And it's crazy because as the year progresses, those things are happening for me.
Yeah.
They're actually happening. I do have a Bible verse that I declare over my life every day. It's Ephesians 3:20. It's an abundance scripture. And then after that, I ground for 3 minutes while looking at the sun come up with my cup of coffee in my hand. And then I get a workout in because movement is medicine for your body. And that's what gives you the energy to get through the entire day.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. I love that routine because it's routines are awesome, and I've been trying to make improvements on my routine and everything else, and it's amazing when you just start doing little small things. Like even my wife and I, we go out for a walk with our twins, and they're in a little stroller or whatever in the morning, and we were just like, we started a routine I guess about a month ago where we just walk every morning, and it's been nice. But I've mapped out the route. We just go out, visit, catch up, see how, with the twins, they fight the whole time, and we walk around. But like the other day, I was like, tell my wife, I was like, let's just map and see how long the route is. And I'm just curious to see. It was a 2-mile walk.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, we've literally put in like 60 miles, in the last whatever amount of time, 30 days or whatever. I'm
that's
like,
awesome.
That's insane. We walked 60 miles in 30 days. But just putting that in the routine, you just never know. You just start the process of creating that compound interest on something. And I love the whole vision side of it too, where you're envisioning what's going to happen, and then with intention and with practice that you're seeing that actually come to reality. I think that's amazing. that you even, did that. And actually what was funny is I think this morning I randomly opened up like my little Bible app on my phone, and I think it was in Ephesians this morning. I probably read that verse, which that's insane. But anyway, but yeah, so yeah, I mean, obviously we're meant to kind of be hanging out today and spending some time together. So let's jump into more like goal setting too. Like what does that goal setting look like for you?
I'm going to tell you, when I started goal setting, I was actually scared to do it. I really was. My broker made me set goals. I was like, do I really have to do this? And she's like, yeah, you really have to do it. I was scared because I was like, well, what if I don't achieve that goal? I'm a perfectionist. And so if I don't achieve the goal, then I was always very hard on myself. I am also a recovering overachiever.
Gotcha.
But for me now, I set the goal at the beginning of the year. I write an entire letter to myself and I say, Jenna, I am so proud of you because of all of these things that you've accomplished this year. And I write down every single thing that I want to accomplish that year. Some of the things are huge goals that maybe they happen, maybe they don't. But if you don't ever put it out there, you don't ever set that expectation, it's never going to happen for you. And I've learned that the things that are meant for me will always happen for me. I have my own desires. I have the things that I want in my heart. But if it's meant for me, it'll happen. So when it comes to goal setting, I dream big.
Yeah,
dream big. One of my goals was to buy a beachfront condo, and I accomplished that goal last year.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I know it's so awesome, and you guys are y'all are even closer to the beach than we are down here. So that's awesome. You're even closer. But yeah, that's great. So a lot of times on the podcast, we talk about new agents. Okay. We talk about somebody who might be struggling right now. What would you tell that person that's struggling, or what would you tell that new agent that's like, hey, I don't know where to go, but I know I need to go somewhere? What would you tell that agent?
I would tell them, if it's someone who's been in the business and they're just kind of struggling right now, I would tell that person that they really need to do some self-reflection. Look at where they've been and how far they've come, but also look at the things that have worked for you in the past. Because 99% of the time, and this goes with life coaching too, we all know what we need to be doing, but we need someone to remind us of that or hold us accountable. So if you're having a hard time producing because you're not holding yourself accountable, maybe reach out and find someone that can hold you accountable. But if you're a brand new agent just getting into the business, I cannot stress enough that I think it is so valuable to have a seasoned mentor in this business. That is why I think I am so successful as well, because I had the seasoned agent who trained me. And so I was able to get kind of a leg up on the newer agents who were coming in the business at the time that I was coming into the business, because I had hands-on training from someone who had been in the business for 10 plus years already.
Right. Yeah, no, I love that. Having a mentor is so huge. And yeah, I mean, and also now, you have the ability to then mentor other agents and stuff like that. And I know that's something that's a passion of yours, is mentoring and pouring your knowledge of what into other agents. And that's so awesome that you get to, you kind of get to do that. So
I've been told that I have the heart of a teacher, and that is 100% on point. I love pouring into people. I love mentoring people. I love helping other people realize what their dream is, and then also helping them achieve that dream.
Yeah. That's awesome. And you're going to go far in life with that mindset, right? Because what's the alternative? Not helping anybody. Yeah.
Right.
That's awesome that you have that mindset.
Well, collaboration happens at the top.
Yeah. I say that all the time. Collaboration happens at the top. And what do they say at the bottom? It's conflict happens at the bottom, and collaboration happens at the top.
But if you're collaborating and you are pouring into other people, that's when you get the most blessing and reward back. And you just live in a state of abundance. Have you ever read the book, The Go-Giver?
I haven't, but I need to.
I have it on my desk, and you can borrow it. It is a phenomenal book.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and even with this podcast, I mean, the beauty of this podcast is you've got the top realtors around the state of Louisiana coming together and saying, hey, I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm doing to have a great business. And they're not like, oh, I need to keep it to myself, or I'm not going to share that with anyone, or I'm keeping that to myself. Everyone that I've talked to, I've very rarely ever had somebody say, no, I'm not willing to share it with other agents. That's the beauty of it. Mm-hmm. I just love our community of realtors in Louisiana, even as I spread out further and further in the state with this podcast, I am just shocked at how many people are so willing to say, hey, I'll carve out a little time for you, Jamie. Let's go have lunch. Let's do a podcast. Let's, share. And what's funny is we're 100 miles away from each other, but yet the things that you're talking about right now on the podcast is some of the very same things that we're talking about. And I know you haven't listened to any of these particular episodes because we talked about which ones you listen to, but the same thing is prevalent in those other episodes of the podcast, is these same growth tactics that you're talking about. It's amazing how this whole life improvement is just building the amazing business that you're having here, and like you're loving it, So I'm just loving how, you're taking the whole life coaching thing, the goal setting, the no mean girl energy, the empowering her life, and all of those things, and turning it into an amazing business. So that's awesome. But one thing that obviously this kind of leads into that, is you are big on people over paycheck. So Let's talk about that mindset.
Yes, absolutely. I am very big on the people over the paycheck, because for me, the most rewarding part of this job is being able to help that single mom buy her first home, or maybe it is a growing family and they need a bigger home. So I get to help them sell that first home and then get into the bigger home. But at the end of the day, I'm sure you have had similar situations happen in the past where maybe an appraisal didn't come in, or somebody needed to bring money to closing. Sometimes we have to make that hard decision to give up a part of our paycheck so that way that family can get into the home. And that's something that I've done many a times, but I'm always blessed. I'm always blessed in return over that. Anytime I have to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And when you operate like that too, like people feel that, they know that you're in it exclusively for them. You're not in it because you're waiting on your mortgage payment that's due and you got to hurry up and make that deal that you knew in your heart that wasn't right house for them. But you hear of agents that are like that. And I think they just end up in a situation where they're in, kind of not operating in abundance, and then they're putting themselves in the situations that, doesn't put the client first. It puts themselves first because they put themselves in a situation where it's tough for them financially.
Yeah. And it'll always come back to bite you though.
Yeah. And yeah, for sure. And probably well more than the money that you made on that one deal. It's going to hurt you way more. One thing that you do is you are big, not only on social media, you've got a great social media presence, and I'm going to put some of Jenna's social media things in the podcast description. Is you're really big on TikTok. Your TikTok is growing, right?
My TikTok is growing. I decided to become very intentional with that this year, and I've grown my following to almost 7,600 people now. And I joke all the time and say Facebook Jenna and TikTok Jenna are two different Jennas. But I do post more of my personality on TikTok, so you get to see me telling stories, because I love telling stories. I love to hear other people's stories and be able to convey those stories. I do get ready with me, so you can watch me put on makeup. You can see my outfit of the day. And something that people really love to do is watch me eat food.
And that's the part that kills me. It's like there is not exactly the most nicest people out there, but that's funny. And look, we ate lunch, and then we ate lunch together, and then we recorded the podcast. I'm like, I did not know that I was sitting there with somebody that, thank God you weren't videoing, because nobody wants to see the way I eat. But I thought that was funny. But that's awesome. TikTok is funny, man. I haven't played around with it. I don't even think I have a TikTok, or I don't even think I have the app.
You're missing out.
But let's talk. So people who maybe are just doing not the TikTok thing, but maybe the Facebook thing, or whatever other social medias. But how are you using social medias right now? Because you do a good job with social media. But tell us, maybe give us a couple of tips and tricks and things that you're doing on social media that you're liking right now.
I always show up authentically on social media. So whenever I show up on social media, it's Jenna. It's me. It's my heart, and I share all of my listings on social media. I have a specific way of doing it. And I also do listing videos. I share those on social media. But value is where, I guess, something that I'm very big on. Like I said earlier, you can call me for a recommendation to a restaurant, whatever it is. So if I see something that is of value, then I'm going to share it on social media. No matter what it is, it doesn't have to pertain to real estate. I think if you share too much real estate, it becomes kind of a turnoff for people, and then they just scroll past all of your post. But if you show them who you really are as a person, if they get to see your family, if they get to see you going to church on Sunday, if they get to see you share an inspirational message, I have a story to tell. So I do that through my social media. I actually used to be overweight, like very overweight. I started a weight loss journey almost 8 or 9 years ago, and people know that journey of mine. They've been there along the way. I've shared every part of it. I ate meat and vegetables for 2 whole years. I dropped 70 pounds.
Wow.
And so just being that person. And, you know, for me, whenever I'm on social media, I don't share anything that's negative, because especially for the storm that just passed, everybody was complaining and it was negative, and it was like, man, I don't even want to be on social media right now. It's killing my vibe. It's bringing me down.
Right.
So when I put any information out there, it's always coming from a positive place. Everyone's like, oh, it's just a highlight reel. That's my life. My life is a highlight reel. I'm very blessed because I have, you know, a very deep connection with myself and my family and, you know, my father, our father. And people can see that through my social media. And I actually get a lot of business from social media because they'll look at me and go, oh, she looks like she's so easy to get along with. She looks like she's so easy to talk to. And I kind of am. That's just who I am as a person.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's awesome. Yeah. And you could see that. And you do a good job of mixing real estate with personal stuff too, you know? And so what would you say kind of is a good mix? You know, is it 50-50 list houses versus personal, or is it more personal and less houses? Like what would be a good mix for you? Like with social media, would you talk like when it comes to like personal versus real estate?
I would say that I try to share real estate at least 4 times a week. As far as new listings and stuff like that, I think I post more about real estate on my story. So that's another thing. Just make sure if you're using social media that you're utilizing all the tools, because the algorithm is crazy. So if you're posting a post with pictures, that's going to go to all of your followers. If you post a reel, it goes to people you don't know first and then your followers.
Interesting.
Right? And then on your stories, your followers see those first and then they go to other people that you don't know. But making sure that you're utilizing all of those things. When I say 4 times a week, I'm not just meaning like 4 times a week on one platform. I utilize all the platforms. I utilize Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So if I'm going to a listing, I'll do a quick little walkthrough. People love to tour houses. They love unscripted, raw video, because that's how they see that's how they see what they want to see, I guess you could say. If they watch the polished listing video that we pay hundreds of dollars for, but I get more views on my quick little, hey, look at this $3.2 million house in Houma. 50,000 views on that video.
Wow.
It went viral.
Yeah.
Wasn't even my listing. So that's another thing. It doesn't have to be your listing. If the listing agent gives you permission to do video and post it, do it. If you don't have any listings, call the agents in your office and ask if you can promote their listings. That's going to get you in front of people, and that's going to get you business.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So like just going back to that question though, too, like, are you like just the percentages of like personal versus like real estate related? I guess to like, and the reason I'm saying that because I really, if anything, I'm curious because I'm always toying around with that. Like a lot of times I'll post on social media, like on my personal one, and I know my friends want to see my life, right? They want to see the cute little pictures of the twins, or they want to see what's going on with my life. But, I throw in some real estate in there, right? Yeah. But then my business one, I'm just trying to figure out like a good balance, like of like, what are you posting, like family stuff, or is it just all real estate mixed in? I don't know. That's kind of where I was going with it, I guess.
Okay. So I don't have a business.
You don't have a business one. You just have a
I
personal.
don't. I only have a personal one, and I refuse to get a business one because I don't want to have to start from ground zero. I
Gotcha.
have over 7,000 followers on Facebook right now.
On the personal, just a
Yes,
personal page.
on my personal. And I post personal stuff every day. So I do post more personal than listing stuff.
Okay, gotcha. Like
But-
what would you say percentage wise? Like 60-40? Like
Probably so.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha. So
probably
more personal
60%
than-
personal, 40% business. But because I have such a connection with my audience, they share all of my listings and all of my open houses and all
Right.
because they want to see me succeed.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I guess one more thing, because we're going to close it out, because you're so easy to talk to. We're going through time, but just to keep it on about the right amount of time, is I guess tell us one more little encouraging thing that you would tell to an agent. I'm listening. I don't know you. Give me a little bit of a little encouragement that I can maybe leave with the podcast.
The best piece of advice I can give for that is something that I've given a new agent in our office. Don't listen to other people. Don't listen to the noise and the negativity around it. If real estate is something that you really want to do, you can do it. You have to believe in yourself first. And you just have to pick up the phone, make the phone calls, and ignore everyone else because their negative beliefs are within themselves and they're conveying them onto you. And you're letting them if you kill your dream because someone else told you that it was too hard.
Wow. There you go. I love that. Well, that's awesome. Well, Jenna, I really appreciate you being on the podcast, and it was fun getting to hang out today. So thank you so much for being on it. And we are going to share some of Jenna's social media stuff on the podcast. So if you want to connect with her, connect with her. She's in the Houma, Thibodaux area. So, if you guys like what you're hearing with the podcast, give us a good like, give us a good rating. We're just trying to bring a ton of value to the state of Louisiana and to the U.S. by sharing our stories and sharing what's working for us as top producers. So please, just continue to support and share and tag somebody that might be interested in our posts. So Jenna, thanks again.
Thank you.
We really appreciate you being a part of it. So I hope that you guys have an amazing day.